Do you want me to start by introducing myself too?
Yes, please.
Okay. My name is Tanya Daniels, and I am the co-founder and currently the Life Skills Program Director for Project 48.
I'm Jessie Fox. I am the Director of Community Engagement and Operations here at P48. Cool. Okay, and what was your question?
What was your first encounter with foster care?
My first encounter was just a friend that I had opened their home to foster care and had a baby that they had taken in, and I really I knew nothing about it. So I had just asked them a bunch of questions about this little one's story and just engaging in understanding like the need that this little one had for temporary support and a temporary home, and it blew my mind. I literally grew up hearing nothing about this and the need for this. I grew up in a small town, just stuff like this didn't feel like it was really at the forefront of conversations. So that was my first like really polarizing view of what foster care even was. Before that, I truly didn't understand that it even existed. I remember just going home and processing it with my husband and feeling like truly we had the capacity to do that. Like, not having known that it was even a thing that was needed, I knew at that moment, like, we can do this. We have the capacity. I have absolutely the heart to want to do this. And so pretty quickly after that, we were, I think that was like June. And by August, we were certified foster parents. It was that fast. The vision for Project 48 was born out of that. Like, if I can't provide a home, what can we do to support youth that are entering foster care? The key element was the personal knowledge and continual vision of youth entering foster care at any age with literally nothing. Youth entering foster care should have the basic necessities to cover that first few days of like reeling and uncertainty and adjusting. So the Essential Bag program was born the second we launched.
Okay, so what we're looking at here, this is our inventory. We call this part of our office the warehouse. And this is where the magic happens for essential bags. Anytime an essential bag order comes in, we always hope that a caseworker will put in any preferences. So it might be loves pink, hates pink, loves soccer, likes skater things. We hope to make it as intuitive as possible so that our amazing group of volunteers isn't struggling to know where things are. So let's say a bag order came in for an 8-year-old girl. She's a size 8, and we would go down the list. In fact, we would actually start back here with shoes, and then we'd go down in kind of vertical order.
And everything is brand new. It's never been used, it's theirs, and it was really important to us for it to be brand new for them, not clothing closet style, but something that felt like if they had to go start a new school tomorrow, that they would fit in with everyone else, and it would just be a brand new outfit to make them feel safe and comfortable.
What I was first drawn to about P48 was the staff. The women here are just like incredible. And then as the youth were coming in, from all ranges of ages, but I especially got to know some of our life skills youth. They're just awesome, and how can you not fall in love with the resilience and the chutzpah of some of these young adults who have been through so much, but they're still here. For me, it was just a no-brainer to join the team, both with the women who work here and then with the youth who come in.
Is it an all-women staff?
It is, yeah. We have all our stuff. We're going to come over this way to the packing table. And this right here, this is kind of where we unload some things since we get so much inventory in at any given time. But we'll just grab a simple black essential bag. We'll have this here, and then at that point we will have had all of our stuff that we brought out. I'll also grab 2 things over here. This is our shopping list, and you can kind of see shoes, socks, bottoms, underwear, t-shirts, backpack or duffel, hygiene kit, a card. And as we go through and check those off along the way, we then grab a personalized card that we'll write the youth's name on, and then this will be where we fill out the essential information, the branch, the caseworker name. We staple that to the black bag so it's really easy for the caseworker to find when we drop that off. So right now we happen to have a bunch of amazing books from a Scholastic book fair that were no longer needed. So for our 8-year-old, I might look at like the 9-year-old range. We have some 8 and under books. We'll throw, several books in there. And then if a youth has textured hair, age 7 to 12, in our case, if we have an 8-year-old girl, we would grab a shampoo, we'd grab a conditioner, and we'd grab a spray, like a spray detangler as well. And then for our older kiddos, we have some more textured hair care products. And on top of that, in terms of like the hygiene, if, for our girls that are in need of feminine hygiene products, we always include, tampons and pads. And then we have this hygiene kit here that has 3 days worth of, hygiene items, and a journal, and hand sanitizer, deodorant, shampoo, conditioner, toothpaste, toothbrush, all those sorts of things.
Holding firm on everything being brand new feels really important because it means that it's special. It's like someone went on a shopping spree for someone and bought them brand new clothes and shoes. It's relevant to today's style and whatever anyone would already be wearing. So we've kept firm to that as well. Just providing something that is theirs. It's theirs to keep. That feels like a really important piece of that dignity, that sense of ownership for them, that no one can take that away.
Thinking about P48's role in the broader nonprofit community and just like, the Portland metro community at large, I think, the word community is key here because no single entity or person can, quote, fix the foster care system as it exists right now in this moment, in this time. However, I think, through our services, both in providing amazing brand new supplies, providing life skills and services like our food pantry and fridge, I think those are all things that help continue to keep hope alive, but also continue to provide and fill in gaps for things that were otherwise missing. At P48, we are so lucky to have a few dozen very active volunteers at any given time, which is pretty wild because even just a year or two ago, we had 5 or fewer volunteers. But I think in getting the word out and the work we do and having people come in, even at the holiday drive, to understand better some of those like essential needs that we fill, it's been incredible that we haven't had to necessarily like go out and try to find volunteers in that way. They've found us through, like I said, the holiday drive, passing by, or just the website itself. And so in that way, I'll go ahead and give a plug. It's p48nw.org/volunteers. We tend to have what we call a volunteer info session once a quarter, but I'm also available to talk over the phone with potential volunteers. And so that's part of why we have a fluctuating number just because life happens and, people might be recently retired or they might be on a trip somewhere. But for that reason, having a good, few dozen has been so helpful for running our organization. Yeah.
There's for sure more that can be done. I think providing more resource parents, opening more homes, having more places for youth to go would really go far in supporting youth that are transitioning into foster care, for sure.
Hi, how's it going? You can go out to the front and there's some more things in my car that they can bring you to for food. Oh yeah, no worries, thanks. You can just put this over here, appreciate it. Yeah. The essential bags, along with our life skills program, we hope that allows youth to learn and to feel comfortable as possible in the time of transition. P48, we just play well in the sandbox together. We partner really closely with other organizations that are in the same kind of category of nonprofit work. And so I think part of our role is to not only directly support the youth we serve, but also ensure that we are working closely with other organizations to make sure that all of those gaps are filled to the best of our ability.
My name's Rebecca Guddle, and I am the program manager for 2 programs here at Project Lemonade. The first is our internship program. We hire youth with lived foster care experience, 16 and up, to work in our free clothing store and help us run that program. So it's a paid internship program. And then I also manage our scholarship program, which helps fund young adults who want to pursue higher ed after high school. My first encounter with foster care was with my nephew. So he was placed into foster care as an 11-month-old, and my parents became his foster parents. And then I have had 2 other nephews impacted by child welfare, and the third of which I became his foster parent. So I have my own foster parent experience, and now have guardianship of him permanently, so I'm raising him. And then work for Project Lemonade, so that's a whole nother exposure to the world of foster care. I've kind of always worked with youth. That's been the focus of my career. Got my master's in teaching, became a teacher, and then I taught for about 5 years, and then I worked for a different nonprofit that was youth focused. I was kind of ready to transition out of my last job. Found Project Lemonade, had never heard of it before, and I really was drawn to connections and associations with the system at that time, and feeling like I could add valuable perspective and experience to the role too. The original mission statement was to inspire self-esteem in foster youth, or children impacted by foster care. The new one is more about supporting sort of with kind of immediate, like tangible goods, and also relationships. So resources, physical, tangible resources that help youth impacted by foster care thrive, or have a sense of dignity and normalcy and what they need. And then also relationships and ongoing support in that way. I think we have over 2,000 youth that shop at the store each year, so that's the most popular. When we have youth that have been coming here, a lot of our interns are like, oh, I've been shopping at the store for 5 years, and I always remember, so-and-so, Gail's always here to greet me, or Julia, with the purple hair or whatnot. So like, we develop these relationships with time too, even if it's just more of a superficial interaction for half an hour. But if you see them, 3 times a year, ongoing for several years, that builds. Yeah, so this is the store. When youth come in and shop, they check in here and they get this shopping list. So these are all the items they can pick out each shop. It's meant to be kind of like a few outfits. And then these spotlights are like fun, different seasonal items or accessories. Everybody always gets a stuffy if they want one. Very rarely does anyone leave without a stuffy. Everybody loves the stuffies. But the store is kind of organized. Front half is like for younger sizes, so like kids sizing, boys and girls, and then from the middle back is like more teen and adult sizing. We try to be really size inclusive, so we serve kids from age 5 all the way to 24, and from size like 4T to like 4X. So it's a lot of sizes we have to have on hand at any one time. So that's kind of also why the buying has become more important, because we can't count on donations to fill like every size. A lot of youth go straight to the shoe section. Tends to be like the first stop on a lot of people's list. We try to have, quality items that people want. We got Vans, we got Nikes, we got Converse, Adidas, popular brands. And again, 3 pairs of shoes per year can pretty much get people through. We have like, kids will come back and like wearing a coat or wearing a pair of shoes, and they're like, I got these at Project Lemonade. They're like happy to show off and have a lot of pride in that. So Smoothing the transition into foster care, I would say DHS has moved in that direction and has more of an emphasis on this, but like kinship placements, family placements that are safe, but like when those are an option, prioritizing those for kids, I think it's way less traumatizing to youth to like be placed with an aunt or an uncle or a neighbor than it is a complete stranger. I encourage like people I know to learn about foster care and to consider fostering.
When we think about fostering, I actually have a lifelong history of fostering because my grandparents here in Portland fostered children throughout the 40s and 50s and 60s. And so I have 3 family members, an aunt and 2 uncles who are foster children. At that time, there was no adoption or very limited adoption out of foster care, and so they just are our family, even though they were never formally adopted. And so when I moved up to Portland in 2000, I started working for an organization called Holt International Children's Services, which is an international adoption agency, but also has a domestic wing. And I was the domestic adoption specialist, so I worked with families who were intending to adopt through the foster care system, but going through a private agency. And so helped match them and then get their paperwork done when they were done, when their adoptions were finalized. Then I went to grad school to get my master's of social work. I did 1 year of field placement with DHS here in Multnomah County. As soon as I graduated in 2007, I was hired by DHS. And so as a permanency worker for 6 years for Washington County, and I was a foster care certifier for 2 years with Washington County before I moved to the Beaverton School District. Foster care certifier is the person who goes in and studies the home and does all the background on a family when they are interested in fostering or adopting, relative or otherwise. They go and do a full home study, which is background checks, it's comprehensive interviews, it's interviews with references. It's an actual long process, and then we actually compile a report called a home study, and they're roughly about 20 to 35 pages. And then that is where we actually say that a family is appropriate or non-appropriate to foster or adopt a child who is currently in the custody of the state of Oregon. Amy and I worked together when she supported DHS from her county position. Yeah. Like, she would train my group of people. So I've actually worked with Amy since like 2008. Wow. Just kind of peripherally. Yeah. And then started working very closely together with her when I joined the district, and then she joined the district. So when you're in the foster care system, your caseworker comes and sees you every 30 days, and they have to be in your foster home every 60 days. So they can see you at school 1 month, but they have to be in your foster home every other month at least. And so with somebody there, making sure that all the things were good and that they had the supports and they were getting the things that that child needed, they were okay for a temporary home.
I was 4 years old when I went into foster care, and at first it was private homes, and then at the end, when I was in I guess it would be the 3rd and 4th grades, it was in a very large foster home system. My mother, she worked as a waitress. It was a hard life. I had a brother who was 4 months older than me, and things got really hard for her to find babysitters. So the year I went into foster homes would have been in 1944. The very first one was 1944.
The state of Oregon has adopted a unified home study process that is evidence and research based, called the SAFE Home Study, SAFE. And so a family would apply, and in their application it's kind of that basic information, right, of like how much money they make, what their jobs are, do they have a criminal record, they do their fingerprints, they do all kind of the basic things. They write down 4 references, only 2 of which can be related to them, the other 2 have to be known to them some other way, that have seen them operate as a couple or a family, or a single parent, if they, if a single person wanting to be a parent, like how they have interacted with youth, right? And so they submit that, and then we look it over and meet with them, and then give them a comprehensive questionnaire that basically asks everything about their life. Literally, like how their parents parented, were, you know, and what good things were about their life and what bad things were about their life. And then we have a scale of domains that you have to look at as an assessor, and you have to mitigate any concerns. And what I mean by that is, say, a family, you know, was a potential foster father, indicates that he smoked pot and drank to excess in college, and that he doesn't anymore. So I would have to go in and have an in-depth conversation, no matter what, but I would have to really hone in on, tell me what that looked like for you in college. What was the reasoning for, you know, slowing down drinking or smoking pot? What was, you know, or if you abstain now, like what was that reason? Was that reason you were forced to go into diversion because you did a crime? Was that reason that you were like self-aware and went, oh, this isn't what's good for me? And talk about all those different pieces and talk about how they've moved from one place in their life to another. Because the nice thing about this style of home study is that it really doesn't assume that humans are perfect. Right? We're all infallible, and we're talking about people that are coming in to a system that oftentimes people think there is a perfect. You know, you're a perfect parent because these parents that the children were removed from were not perfect. But really what it is that we need to make sure that there is a safe environment with people who have mitigated any of their concerns about mental health, aggression, drugs and alcohol. If their home environment when they were children wasn't great, like what did they do to process through that, right? Because you can come from an abusive home yourself, and if you go to therapy or you do, you know, you find spirituality or you find something that helps you overcome that trauma, then you're going to be a stronger parent for somebody who's also been through something similar.
One of the fortunate things for me was that all the time that I was in foster care, I had my brother with me. So it was I was much more fortunate than a lot of the foster kids I knew, because Dennis and I were sort of a support system for each other and encourage each other and so on. So a lot of other kids, of course, did not have that. The very first 2 foster homes were quite wonderful. The people were great, and it was great. And Dennis and I lived sort of in the deep suburbs of Roseburg, and then actually out in the woods in different foster homes. As I said, I went to a bunch of them. And so it was good, except that we had one really horrible experience. The very best foster home was an unmarried couple out in the woods in Camas Valley. And when we went there, this is our 3rd foster home. When we went there, it was wonderful. God, we really, really loved it. And they loved us. So now I'm going to tell you about the worst one. I'll try to be brief about it. There should be unannounced visits to foster homes so that the foster parents cannot get ready to make things look good, because that was one of the problems for us. And the solution was this child services woman named Agnes Pittsburgh. She did come up unannounced, did not tell them we were coming. If she had told them we're coming, I don't think she would have known how badly we were abused. We were saved. I really believe literally our lives were saved by the child services person who came out and realized we were abused. She showed up unannounced, looked at both of us, asked us how things were going, patted Dennis on the back. Dennis winced. She looked at his back, looked at my back, sent us out to our car, screamed at the people, and left. So I think we were there for about 2 months or 3 months. That was the worst experience. There should be much more funding of child welfare, period. And yes, there should be good background checks, but part of that is somebody has to fund those.
Sarah, do you know when they started doing that model?
The Safe Home Study, they started it in about 2010. I believe they had done it for a couple years before I transitioned to that job in 2012, but it was a model, a home study that was used in other states before we adopted it. California was the biggest one. And the reason why California was a good example for us is we are a statewide system where all of our branches do the same thing and we have one person to respond to. California actually breaks it down to counties.
Governments should invest more literally, more money and people into the system because of the system we're living in creates problems.
It's, I think, even more important than ever for young adults to have access to mental health supports and education.
There's a lot of nonprofits and programs that support just like basic needs for youth. Part of me thinks if the state just funded foster care a bit better and foster parents had the resources themselves to provide what kids needed, there wouldn't be as much of a need for all these nonprofits.